Right now, Jamie Gong from TakeOut Comedy. Very busy man right now.
Yes, sir. So, hello, Phil in Hong Kong.
You can tell, yes, sir. It's from yesterday until October the 5th. It's the 8th annual Hong Kong International Comedy Festival. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome back South Africa's top comedian, Barry Hilton. How are you?
Well, thank you for the accolade, but I wouldn't say I'm the top, but I'm there.
You're the Carlos CEO.
Yeah.
Good to see you, mate, because
it's great, man.
They love you here. How many times have you had Barry in?
3 times, eh?
This is his fourth time to Hong Kong.
Fourth time, yeah.
Everybody's so tired. Barry's just jet-lagged, and Jamie's just wandering around the studio.
Yeah, looking for the bed. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, this is the serious deal, because you're here for some shows in Hong Kong. You were saying you've just done Singapore. It's a mighty journey from South Africa to here, isn't it?
Oh, it's massive. We came in here working, of course, with the TakeOut and Jamie, and then they've got an association in Singapore. So we go there first and we do a gig there. We come back here. But last night we started the comedy festival. But yes, it is a mighty journey. And I just got into the hook now. I've been here 4 days.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of... I woke up this morning thinking, wow, it's
good night.
7:30 and I had a cool time. So
that's amazing, though. But it makes me think, blokes like you, it's not like you're going on a business trip where you've got a day to just walk around. You get off the plane and you're on. I wonder what it is that your chemistry does that normal people's doesn't, where you can just, bang, turn it on.
Is it because it's a need? We want to do it.
Maybe.
There's a story I tell about, I lost my brother 5 years ago, to cancer, and he was in hospice, my brother, and he phoned me up. I was working in Durban, and he phoned me up, and it's harsh, but his words were to me, come and see me because I am going to die. Okay. Spoke to him, and it's funny you think as a comic. He said to me, he's been to the doctors, they haven't given him long, what should he do? And I immediately said to him, commit fraud. The judge will give you 9 years.
Which he loved.
We loved. He had a good laugh about it. But here's the rub. I said to him, okay, my friend, my butti, we call it in South Africa, I love you, I will be there as soon as I possibly can. Yeah. I put the phone down. I happened to be backstage at the time. And as I put the phone down, the tannoy came over and said, ladies and gentlemen, the person you've all come to see, Barry Hilton.
Yeah. And
I walked out to 750 people and had to do an hour 20.
That's what I'm talking
about.
So
that's heavy. But you've been there, Jamie. You know what it's like.
It's easy
People
to
are not interested what's happening backstage. They want to know what's happening in front of them.
Well, I'm very interested, boys, because it's easy to say, oh, so-and-so's a pro, but what people forget is you're still human.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming...
Don't you want me, baby?
I'm assuming that what got you through that show was the fact that your brother was getting a laugh out of the things you were saying.
Yeah, he had a good laugh about it. He said to me, I'm a bloody idiot. But I said, okay, that's the way it is, And in fact, I opened my show with that very joke. It wasn't a joke, and I said, listen, and the weird... I got this barrage of complaints.
Why? It's your life, it's your brother.
No, but people were saying to me, how can I be so insensitive about people with cancer and this and this and this? And then my wife then actually wrote back and said, hey, guys, that was the truth.
Yeah.
And then I got this lot of letters saying, oh, I didn't realise. I thought it was just a joke. No, it was the truth.
Is that good or bad when people say that? Does that mean they think you're doing your job so well, but you're just pushing the envelope?
Yeah, some people took it bad, and they think that I'm just trying to mock everybody. But I don't mock anybody. We just, as comics, we look at things on the other side.
Yeah.
We look at it different.
Well, I mean, obviously, the great example of something like this happening was Tommy Cooper.
Yes, when he died.
And to this day.
Absolutely.
And it's very weird watching a video of that. Not to be macabre, but it's very weird watching Tommy sort of...
falling. I don't feel well. Thank you. I'm not doing too well. Thank you. Vroom. And people cried with laughter. You remember that, Jimmy?
Is that the way to go?
He died on stage, yeah. Here's a story. When I was a youngster, I realised comedy was a great vehicle and a great leveller. My mother had polio, so she had a caliper, okay? And she used to walk with this dodgy leg and all that stuff. And I remember I was about 12 years old, and we were at this place, we were sitting outside a pub in England, where we would sit in the beer outside in the garden, and somebody came to my father who'd had a few drinks in, and said to my father, in his words, Jack, why would you have married a cripple like that? It was like, and that second I realised that's what's wrong with my mum, because I didn't realise until then, Instantly, my father said to this guy, I don't like walking fast.
That's so
basically, he hammered this guy and said, he was protecting my mother,
Yeah.
and at the same time just saying to him, "Go away."
And that's
you're an idiot.
super clever as well.
Well,
I
it
mean,
was
I'm
just
sure,
bang.
I'm sure it's what
My
came.
dad was like, he was a very sharp guy.
Is that what you? Well, obviously.
Well, no, he didn't want me to become a comic, and maybe it's because he wanted to become a comic. I don't know.
I think also with the recent deaths of Robin Williams and Joan Rivers
No kidding.
last night too.
Joan
So
Rivers,
I think it's kind of interesting to now as comedians also to just bring a little joy to people's lives. I mean, laughter is just wonderful. It heals,
It
unites
fixes.
people.
It certainly does
Absolutely.
fix things,
It
right?
does. It's
Yeah.
a good laugh.
The thing about Robin Williams was very interesting. It was wonderful that people loved this guy so much, and genius, absolutely, no question. But somehow they're like, how could he do it without me knowing? It's where was I in this conversation? So people think that you're not your own guy, sort of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. We were actually just talking about that in the 5 trains and 7 taxis and 4.5 kilometers we took to get here today.
I know, and I said it's a long one from South Africa.
So we were just
South
talking
Horizon's
about
one.
it, how
Yeah.
tough it is, and a person like Joan Rivers, she passed after a minor procedure. You don't know what was happening in the minor procedure, so she passed. But imagine the pressure the guys at that level live under every day.
It must be massive.
Massive. And I miss Robin Williams dearly because I was a huge fan. I still am a huge fan of Robin Williams, but we didn't live in his skin. We didn't know what was going on.
This
in
is
his ears.
true.
So,
There's
Robin,
an
I
element-
still love you, bro.
There's an element of living up to our expectations, and sometimes I don't know if you're into social media and stuff.
Yeah, we do. I do quite a lot of it.
Personally, there's people want to take ownership of stuff. And Robin
Yeah.
Williams was not a happy man. Whatever you say won't change that. Yeah, even as a comic genius, etc. But inside his head, there was some dark stuff
Well,
going on.
if you look at photographs and that now of Robin Williams and you analyse, you think, wow, that sort of pained expression, we were thinking that was a comedy moment. It might have been real for him.
Well, this goes back to what you said earlier, that comedians were also human beings who happen to choose to be a comedian. So Robin Williams has his demons, but everyone has good and bad. But he lived a wonderful life.
No kidding.
I'm very blessed that I work all over the world. I'm very, very blessed. I work once a year. I work a very large show in Cape Town, basically, and I have 4,000 people come to my show. It's in a big hall. And I did the show one year, and I got one email from a guy who said, "Your show is crap." One. I'm talking to you now, Jamie. I was devastated, man.
That's always the way.
And my wife said to me, "Hold on. There was 3,999 people who said your show was great.
Yeah.
Why must you focus on this guy?"
Yeah.
I said, "Because he didn't like me."
Yeah.
And it breaks your heart.
none of them
man.
owned laptops. So I'm not sure
Yeah,
which
all
one
of
was.
it. You do something. and-
I sent you the email.
Was it-
But
This is the human nature thing, which is absolutely fantastic. What goes on between your dressing room and that sort of no man's land when you're just about to go on the stage, and that's when you're probably at your most human.
Absolutely, because you're going out there, and I think your greatest fear when you go out there, wow, am I still going to be funny today?
Is it good that you're still thinking that? I think it's good that you're still thinking.
Absolutely. I still get sick to my stomach before I go on stage. I actually.
So if anybody's coming to see him tonight,
I want to vomit.
Yeah.
That's how sick I feel.
Actually, to expand on that, meeting Barry is great. I mean, he's a legend, award-winning comedian from South Africa, and just talking to him over here to what we've created here. It's great to see Barry kind of go back to when you first started doing comedy, you get so excited now the potential. Now he sees the potential that we've created here in Asia, Hong Kong. It's enormous.
Yeah, it's really cool to come here. I work big venues. I work 1,000-seaters. I do huge corporates. I do all of that stuff, and I'm very fortunate.
but that's crazy in itself. If you still get stomach
I
butterflies.
do, and I still get sick to my teeth.
Yeah.
Every time. But Jamie phones up and says, "Hey Barry, I got a couple of dates for you." It's immediate. I say to my management, "Hey, we're going there."
Block me off.
Yeah, I'm going because the TakeOut Comedy it's real, man. Because you're sitting, you could reach out and touch the person in the front row
Down in your
That's
in your
how
club in the
close
basement.
it
Yeah.
is. You literally could reach out and touch the person in the front row. It is that close. You could probably do that show without a microphone there.
Yeah, I see
because
what you're
it's
saying.
so close. And there's about 150, 180 people in there. It's packed. It's really cool.
I think a lot of artists have got their so-called favourite gigs, no matter how big time you are. I mean, the fellows that we've been talking about, they would have had their favourite little gigs. I wonder why. Is it just because you like Hong Kong? Is it because you dig the comedy club guys here? What's the thing for you? If you know why.
I don't know. It's just you. Some gigs just click for you, and it's just right. You know, Chris Rock came to South Africa a couple of years ago, and there's a very funny comic in South Africa called John Vlismus, and he had underground comedy, tiny little venue, okay, and Chris Rock just arrived and did a set. And then he said afterwards, what a great club, man.
I wonder why. I mean, perhaps it's one of these things that we should just accept and say, fantastic, that we all have something that keeps us inspired.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put your shrink hat on, I wonder why it is that perhaps people love the cosy stuff more than the huge stuff.
Yeah, you know, on the big stage, it's like this, you're sitting in this big cavern almost, and you have these huge projected images of you all over the place, and I'm sitting there. And my wife took a photograph from the booth.
Wow.
Man, I look like I'm 2 foot tall, you know?
Compared to the other yous.
Yeah, and there's this open space. So now, which is great, and I'm very blessed that I can do venues that size and whatever. But you come here to a place like the Comedy Club, and it's in your face, man.
Old school, back to how it should be.
Oh.
Something like that. Plus, it's not some big corporate gig. And I was thinking this, bearing in mind all the politics and nastiness that's going on around the world at the moment, and of course, South Africa's had its share, you'll find the audiences here, I would assume, have a far less axe to grind with you.
Absolutely, because there's people are right across the board. I'll tell you who's got the worst axe to grind, the South African guys, who say to me, "You going to Hong Kong? Do they understand you?"
I know, well, that's everybody says that, don't
really?
they?
No, but they'll say to me,
Checky Wong does all that stuff.
Do you want to go? They'll tell me, "I'm going to go work in England." Do they understand you in England? Of course they flip and do. We talk English. But the people go like, "Nah, man, you should rather stay in South Africa because it's our humour." Really?
It doesn't sound very funny to me.
It's everybody's humour. It's our stuff. You know?
Isn't that the same in all so-called developed countries? You get your locals who like local things.
Yes.
Isn't that the same?
Yeah. I did a great gig in Dublin, the Laughter Lounge in Dublin.
Yeah.
And really cool gig, really. And I worked with a really nice guy. And the next night I went to go see the next lineup of comics. And there was this guy who was so local. If you weren't living within 5 miles of Dublin, you could not understand a thing this guy said. You could understand the English he's talking, but what he was talking about, I had no clue. It was just slang and this and that. And the people there...
That's real Dublin speak, isn't it?
Yes, the people there were like falling over because he was talking about Mrs. Jones down the road, with how she comes out and does her washing. You know what I'm saying? So, but you're thinking, hold on. So when you work overseas and you do things like that, you have to change your stuff and you have to be more...
I think this is the new breed of comic, though, Barry. I mean, certainly, Jamie's been doing that here. Many Americans, Barry from South Africa, guys from all over the place. It's the new way where you have to temper your act so it's international.
Absolutely.
It's also fun as a comedian also to get out of your comfort zone and take a little challenge to do new material that will only pertain to here, but not in South Africa. So, as a comic, you always want to find that new
that's
material.
Human stuff, isn't it? That's what Barry's talking about. That's not about you as a comic. That's you as a human. Open your eyes and have a look around. I wonder how many phone calls you've made where managers or agents have said, "We don't really feel like that," or something.
Yes, that happens lots and lots and lots and lots. Do you know what's cool about working in comedy clubs? There's like a brotherhood of comics.
Great.
Okay, and the guys genuinely applaud for you and genuinely enjoy your stuff.
Yeah.
And the guys I've worked with in small clubs like that, they will openly say to you afterwards, "Hey man, I like that. I didn't really like that one."
But that's
and they're
okay.
not being ugly.
It's
they're
constructive.
we pros. But if you do that and that, that's a cool idea, man. I'll do that.
Have you ever just before I want to get all the details of what's going on in a minute, Jamie. Have you ever done a gig where you're overseas, Barry, and you make friends with somebody genuinely, and you talk about comedy stuff and scripts and stuff, and somebody's given you a little tip to change a particular word, and you've actually taken it
without a shadow of a doubt.
And then you get the laughs.
If you don't take it, you're being silly because they're the people that are local and they're telling you to do that and do that.
That will make people laugh. Jamie, tell us all about the festival. There's tons of stuff going on.
Tons of stuff going on. Yesterday was our first show. 24 shows in 31 days. So again, everything is on hkcomedyfestival.com. Every week, big headliners. Next week, Acme Comedy Club. Michael Harrison, world-class ventriloquist, is coming here 2 weeks. Then we have our biggest highlight the big international comedy competition with the preliminary rounds and the finals at the end of the festival with Tom Carter, a huge comedian from the USA, headlining the finals and ending our festival. So
he's going like the clappers there. You need to say terms and conditions apply.
Everything is on hkcomedyfestival.com. And again, I want to thank Hong Kong, all the supporters to see this festival grow. It's truly amazing.
Well, congratulations to you and all the guys that you've started making people laugh. Barry, when you go out of Hong Kong, is there anything people travelling obviously out of Hong Kong, people can see you wear? Anything in your diary you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'm off to Australia as I go now. Out of this, I'm going to Brisbane, Sydney. But if they can go on my website, barryhilton.com.
Yep.
barryhilton.com, and then they can see my full diary and all that stuff.
And today and tomorrow, Barry Hilton.
I've got a show tonight.
Yep.
At 9 o'clock, and tomorrow we've been overwhelmed with requests. We've got 2 shows. We've got an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. So be there.
That's going to be great.
Yeah,
I mean,
TakeOut.
we've only got a few seconds, but I'm so curious. How do you manage your night when you're doing 2 shows? In terms of material, you just do it.
It's just what we do. That's what you do.
It's the job.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Thanks, man.
All right, then. Barry Hilton, pleasure to talk to you. It's the 8th Annual Hong Kong International Comedy Festival. Website once again.